terrifying new video. Passengers on a subway in Brooklyn frightened for their lives as two men fight, and one of them shoots the other in the head. Eyewitness News reporter Jim Doan live in downtown Brooklyn with the details on how horrifically it all went down. Jim.
Tonight, Bill, a routine commute home turned in seconds into abject terror with gunfire and hundreds of passengers trapped underground or running for their lives. One man was shot in the head with a gun police say he first pulled. It was madness on the A train. The two men scuffled briefly on the northbound A train, but some passengers just stayed in their seats until the older of the two men pulled a gun.
You got it now.
For hundreds of people on two separate trains, a routine commute home changed suddenly tonight with the deafening echo of gunfire underground.
Where's the NYPD? Oh my God! Close the door! Close the door!
Passengers crouched down to avoid the gunman firing in a car just across the platform.
As I'm coming out, you hear pops like 3 and 4.
Passengers crouched down to a...
All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors to our apostle elders, which rule Great Millstone Wow. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure to the end. Shalom wa abab abal. So this is national news, you know, about the shooting that took place in New York subway. Even though you got the National Guard there checking bags, right? This guy, there's a setup, a plant of the government to bring more draconian laws in, all right? Or really he just snuck the gun in and he was a reprobate and got smoked. But either way, you know, judgment got dealt. But what caught my attention in this video was how everybody was bowed down, crouched down in fear. Even the women, you can't tell who's a man or who's a woman because they're all looking like bitches, right? They're all hiding, they're all whimpering, they're all, please close the door, right? There was no men on this train to even intervene between the fight to try to break up the fight before it even got to the point of shooting, all right? But even when the shooting did take place, these men, right, which I guarantee you, all these men on this train were talking mad shit about being tough, about fighting, about whatever it is. They might even have a gun at home or even on them. But guess what? When this fear happens, it makes you freeze like a bitch. And this is what's going to happen to all these people that are all proud in America. Pride cometh before the fall. Right? You think everything's going to go on routinely, like every day. Just like yesterday, you think everything's going to continue. But you're sadly mistaken that you don't realize that we're in the last days. And the Lord has these spirits of vengeance, which is opening up wrath, man, cans of wrath on that ass. Alright, this is Jeremiah 30, verse 5. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Alright, so we're not in a time of peace and prosperity. We're in a time of fear and war. It says, ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with a child. Like these men here, are they squatting down giving birth in the train? Is that what's happening? They went into birth? Birthing pains? No, men don't give birth. It says, wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. And that's what you see right here in this video of the train shooting in New York subway. You see men looking like women, sounding like women, hiding amongst women, right? So who's gonna save the women, you know, that are attached to these men? And a lot of these women, they're lesbian. You know, so they act like they could fight a man. Why didn't their soft ass get up there and try to break up the fight? I remember I was at a job one day recently, this year, and two crackers start fighting. And they try to get me to break it up. I just stood there and watched. I said, call all the female managers. I want to see them break this shit up. And obviously you couldn't find them. Why? Because women, they're not built for war. All right? They're built for sex. All right? Comfort. Men are for war. All right? But men of this modern age are softer than women. All they know how to do is punch a clock and order off a menu like a bitch. They don't know the art of war. They don't know anything about war. They think because they play, you know, these shooting games that's acting in war. That ain't war. All right? And they're going to learn what war is here in America, because America, all right, is pretty much in a war. Your president has told you, your government has told you, the CIA has told you, the FBI has told you. There are red flags everywhere, and you're about to see terrorist attacks set up on America's land by its own government to terrorize the people so that they beg the government for safety. And they're going to get an implantable microchip mandate that if you don't take this device, you ain't going to be able to buy or sell, which pretty much anyone that takes it is going to be in that lake of fire, the nuclear destruction of America, which I'm talking about the Israelites. All right? The heathen, fuck the heathen. They have no hope. All right? The so-called white man, he has no hope. Esau, Edom, all right? He's a cursed people. Any other nation, there's 18 nations. The only ones that are allowed salvation are the Israelites. And the Israelites today go under the name of the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world and are subject to payment. We are enslaved by debt. All right? And that's what these people are now, right? Debt slaves. That's why they're on that subway trying to save the dollar instead of driving a car, right? They're trying to save money because they got to pay that debt. They're going to work to pay that debt. But they don't realize that it's only going to get worse, to the point there ain't going to be no more work. There ain't going to be no more food. There ain't going to be no more safety, because the so-called white man, the original gangster, he's coming down with great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time. His time to reign is over, so he's going to come down with the sword. And that's why you're starting to get all these shootings, this violent, activity, is because the so-called white man is running out of time. And the changing of ages is always a violent thing. It says, wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness, because they don't know what the fuck to do. It says, Allah's, for that, you know what I mean? Most of these men today in America ask the wife, for approval of everything. So they don't even know how to fucking act without a woman telling them what to do. Most of these men, they go to work, they go from home to work being told by a woman what to do. So they're as soft as women, these men today. It says, Allah's, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So who's the he? It's the elect that make up the body of Yahushua, the nation of Israel. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. And that's a cut to these counterfeits. These counterfeits, right? The counterfeits that claim to be a Jew, right? I guarantee you there was probably Jewish people on this train. How are you not in peace if you're the holy children of God Almighty? You're in the promised land, right? You're in control of all this wickedness going on in the world, and there's no peace. Why? Because you are the wicked, the so-called white man, the red devil the Bible speaks of, the wicked that are ruling. All right, they are the devil the Bible speaks of, and it's all being revealed. All right, that they're not the Israelites. That's why there's no peace on earth, and that the wicked are ruling, and that's why peace is still being taken from the earth, because the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, the red devil the Bible speaks of, is still in power. But we're at the end of his reign. He's losing power, and that's why he got to come down with the sword, trying to keep his power, only to lose his power. And he's going to lose his power, and it's going to be given to the Israelites, starting with the elect.